Welcome to an SFB Addict video. Alright, we have a quick little cadet game here between Todd and myself. I'm flying the Romulan KR cadet cruiser, and he's flying the Gorn cadet cruiser. You'll notice they both have 2 plasma Fs, where the Romulan has 2 phaser 1s and 2 phaser 3s. The Gorn has 4 phaser 1s. And the Romulan has weaker shielding. And in this particular game, I am not using the cloaking device. Now I selected the small map because I was thinking that was going to be a fixed map, a very quick game, because Todd only had 1 hour. I forgot to mention that we're playing on a fixed map until almost the top of turn 2. So that may have played into Todd taking 1 plasma hit. Anyway, here we are just doing the energy allocation. I decided to throw 12 points in the reinforcement and go speed 8. And since we're using a very small map, I just zoomed out and put all the charts that we needed over on the right-hand side. And here Todd is going speed 14. Gorn is up in hex 401, and the Romulan is down in hex 1415. Now Todd's just learning, and I suggested that he might want to try one of the plasma races. Plasmas in Cadet are very strong and very effective. And here we're just basically closing the range. And Todd's still getting used to using the number pad for movement, flying the ship at the top and coming down. In this game, we are not using wild weasels, we are not using electronic warfare, we are not using suicide shuttles. We are not using tractor beams, and we are not using transporters. Basically, we're just using shuttles as phaser 3 platforms. Just launching a plasma. This is Todd's first game with plasma, so I wanted to be the first to launch to show him what all was going on. I didn't bother to fill in the show data chart for the plasma because there are no pseudoplasmas in the game that we're playing, so every plasma torpedo is a real torpedo, and we all have just the one type of plasma. And on my ship, it doesn't really matter if it's from A tube or B tube, they both have the same mark. And here I'm turning off basically to show Todd that when I chuck a plasma, he's got a choice of either going through the plasma to get to me, or he himself is also going to turn away. And there I meant to actually use the line of sight, not move my ship. Now here I'm going to fire 2 phaser 1s at him, taking the chance that his number 6 shield is not the one that's reinforced. Now here Todd is adding his plasma to the map and then he's naming it. You can actually orient and name your counter while it's still off the board in the player SSD area, or in this case he had his counters in the white space over to the right hand side. That way when he puts it on the map he can just simply put it directly on top of his ship in the facing that he wants to have it in. And you'll notice that we are labeling the impulse of the launch as part of the name of the plasma torpedo. Now we're playing this on Skype, so we really don't need to use the delayed tab notes. I think this is actually the only time in the entire game that I actually pull up the delayed tab to write in fire orders. I think after this we just state what we're firing and type it into the chat. I ended up doing 3 points of damage, and he had more than that in reinforcement on the shield, so no damage. Impulse 11, only speed 14s and 16s move. Now I'm using a 32-inch monitor when I play this, so I can make the charts fairly small and still be able to make out the numbers. Hopefully it's not too hard to see in the playback for the video. Calling Impulse 12, speed 8s, speed 14s, and speed 16s move. At this point, Todd's deciding whether or not he wants to run or turn into the plasma. Okay, Impulse 13. Here's speed 16s. And 14s actually move there as well. Impulse 14, everything moves. I actually miscounted the number of hexes between me and the plasma. I had 12 points of reinforcement. I was willing to take the plasma on. I didn't turn back fast enough. At this point, we're talking back and forth about how long the plasmas have been on the board and what strength they're going to be. And a few more impulses. Impulse 15, just the Gorn and the plasmas. And on the last impulse, everything moves. I think here Todd was asking me about whether or not he thought I should fire at the plasmas, and I was basically commenting that that's kind of a personal choice, whether or not you want to fire at long range, then fire again next turn kind of thing, or if you just simply want to wait until it gets to range 1 or 2 to fire. And here I realized I screwed up, and I meant to let the plasma hit me before the end of the turn, and now 12 points of reinforcement is going to get thrown away, and then I'm going to have to reinforce again on the first impulse. So in actuality, I ended up putting in, I think, 27 points of power into reinforcement for one 15-point plasma torpedo. And I believe Todd did not fire anything the entire first turn. If he had fired at my ship on my shield number 6, he would have hit reinforcements. Or sorry, my shield number 1. So I fired 2 phasers turn 1, which means there's only 2 left in my phaser capacitor. So at this point I'm thinking, do I want to have batteries or do I want to have phasers charged? Or do I want to slow down? Well, last turn I was going speed 8, so it's down by half. So I decide to recharge the phasers by draining batteries. I could have done that during the turn if I had wanted to, which probably would have been the smarter move. Just keep the 2 points power in the batteries and then drain them, put them into the phaser capacitor when I wanted them or needed them. And here I accidentally clicked on the map before saying clear, so it ended up leaving impulse 14 highlighted. So I had to click on it again to clear it. So this time I'm coming in speed 4. The plasmas are speed 16, and I believe Todd came at speed 16 as well. And again, here, if it was a floating map, he would have been in a much better position to outrun that plasma rather than turning up into it. And his plasma hits my reinforcement. So here the Gorn is going speed 16, and he's got 1 point in the plasma, so there should be 3 reinforcement on his shield. He fires 3 phaser 1s into the plasma. So it's a 6-point warhead at this point. Now here he has 6 reinforcement. By my calculation, speed 16 plus 1 point for arming of a plasma is 17, leaves 3 out of 20. 3 plus 2 batteries should have been 5. So I think his math might have been off by 1 point there. And here I'm contemplating launching, and then I realize that he's not in my FA. And I also completely forget at this point that there's no swivel mounts on the Romulan or the Gorn. And when I launch my FA, I should be launching directly off my number 1 shield. I completely forgot about that. So when I launch my torpedo here, I actually hinder myself by launching it off my number 6 shield instead of off my number 1. And not only do I hinder myself, I shouldn't have been able to do that because of the fixed launcher. But it works out to Todd's advantage anyway, so. And there I was actually looking at whether or not I should have HET'd the plasma, but because the range actually got closer by moving forward, I had to go forward. So we hear pretty much every impulse Todd in the plasma move. And me at speed 4, I move every once in a while. And this is an impulse where I move. Now here, if the Gorn had launched his other plasma before turning away, I would have taken a fair amount of damage from his plasma. But I guess he wanted to try and get both of them armed again at the same, and launch them on the same turn. And he fires 2 phaser 1s at me. Or no, sorry, the Romulan fires 2 phaser 1s at the Gorn. I'm so used to playing Gorn. I keep thinking of myself as the Gorn. So that's 7 points to the Gorn's number 4 shield. And here the Gorn is desperately trying to keep the plasma from hitting his number 4 shield. I keep moving the plasma right back on top of his number 4 shield during the chase. So here we go, we've reached the end of the turn. And Todd's got a choice to either reinforce the shield and go slow, or go fast and take a fair amount of damage on a already slightly damaged shield. I just noticed here I actually forgot to write down that I was discharging my batteries on turn 2. I hope I remembered to actually write in recharging batteries too. Yes, I did. Okay. So on turn 2 down below where it says battery used in turn, or up above battery used EA, would have had a 2. Actually, I did put a 2 on the battery used in EA. Sorry. Of course, energy allocation, waiting for the opponent to finish their EA, is perhaps the slowest part of the entire game. So last turn now is speed 4, so I can increase my speed by 10. Todd's coming in at speed 8. And see there, I clicked on impulse 13 before I cleared it, so I had to click on it to get rid of it. Okay, so plasma hits. So at speed 8, recharging some phasers. He's probably got about 8 or so reinforcement, if I remember correctly. And the plasma hit for the same amount of power that he had in reinforcement. And here, because of the speed differentials, I realized that I can get close, fire on his down shield again, and launch some shuttles. So that's what I'm attempting to do with my speed advantage. And fire phaser 3 through a down shield for 3 damage. And here I think he took 2 battery for 1 general reinforcement to drop it from 3 damage to 2 damage. I just used 2 battery. And I think I used that 2 battery to arm my phasers. Now here I'm trying to maneuver to get my right side phaser 3 to bear. And it's not actually right side, it's R and RR. So I go out and start dumping shuttles. My shuttles are actually faster at speed 6 than he is at speed 4. So they're going to close the range by 2. And I'm putting them behind him, so hopefully they are going to be able to shoot on his down shield. So that was launched on the 10th. His phaser will be up on the 14th. I've only got 1 bay, so I have to wait until 12th impulse in order to launch my next shuttle. I think I just screwed up there. I think I just side slipped twice in a row. It's because I forgot to put my side slip marker down after the last time I side slipped. So that's a boo-boo on my mistake. Doesn't make much of a difference anyway. But it was a mistake on my part. There's a lot of talking going on back and forth, etc., so that probably distracted me. There's the 12th impulse launching my shuttle, and the Gorn, I believe, is also launching a shuttle on this impulse. Yes, he did. Now here I'm moving 3 times by the end of the turn, and the shuttle's going to move 2 by the end of the turn. So that'll put the shuttle behind me. So if the Gorn had wanted to hit my number 1, 2, or 6 shield, he might have wanted to have pointed the shuttle in a different direction, but trying for my number 4, 3, and 5 shield is actually the better thing to do. Gotta love cadet turn modes of turn mode 1 and turn mode 2. Makes a world of difference when you're used to Starfleet battles full game and you gotta wait 3, 4, or 5 movements before you can turn. It's now impulse 14, so my shuttle on impulse 10 is now able to fire. It's doing so, and it's doing so at a down shield. So it did 2 damage, got 2 internals. I think at this point he took a transporter in a lab and some hull hits. And a shuttle hit. Sorry, the hull hits were from the F-torp, I believe. At this point I'm not really paying much attention, I'm just sort of commenting as I go. That and I'm eating a strawberry shortcake, so that's got more of my attention right now than the commenting on the game. And on the last impulse, everything moves, starting with the Gorn, which is moving the slowest. And here, since the Gorn turned and the second shuttle can't hit the Gorn's down shield, I'm deciding to shoot the shuttle. And for some reason, the Gorn's deciding to shoot my shuttle as well. So we both end up doing 4 points of damage. I think for some reason the Gorn decided to shoot my shuttle that's at 0205 instead of the one that's in the same hex as my shuttle. So he was shooting at range 1, I'm shooting at range 0, but we both end up doing 4 points of damage, despite the range. My dice are atrocious this game. Pretty much every dice roll is one low number, one high number, or 4 5s and 6s. Oh, another thing we're not using this game, we're not using bolting. So it's only launching of plasma. And the shuttle's now crippled, going speed 3. And so is his. And shuttles, once they're crippled, can only shoot at something that is shooting at them. So basically at that point, those two shuttles become pretty much useless unless either one of us recovers the shuttle. And since we're not using tractor beams, that means we would have to be in the same hex as the shuttle traveling speed 3, or under. I think at this point I clued in to explain to the Gorn that he has 2 shuttle bays and can actually launch 2 shuttles at once. I had forgotten to mention that earlier, and I didn't clue in. Just contemplating where to put my reinforcement and how much of it and what speed to go. I have a tendency to click around a lot when I'm thinking. I think at this point I'm reminding the Gorn that his shield is down, and it's, if he puts reinforcement, it's general. So it's 2 for 1. For some reason, I'm keeping my EA open for a long length of time, so I'm being distracted by something. I just forget what. But there's likely conversation going on back and forth over Skype at this point. The Gorn is coming in at speed 12. The Romulan at speed 8. There's a speed 6 shuttle and a speed 3 shuttle. And then on the first impulse, the Romulan is firing. And you'll notice that last turn the Romulan failed to get his right side, phaser 3, to come to bear on the Gorn. Is properly launching his plasma torp directly off the number 1. The Gorn decides to launch a shuttle, and again he has a tendency to move the shuttle on first, then name it, and then rotate it to the facing, instead of doing that first in the off map area. And I'm informing the Gorn that I'm firing. I'm waiting to see if he's saying he's got any fire coming back. And for some reason I think the Gorn didn't realize his 2 wing phasers are able to fire directly backwards for some reason. I think that's what we're discussing right now is his phaser arcs. And he's returning fire with everything that he has. And interestingly, he's firing it at me instead of the plasma. And by the way, I am crap at doing math in my head unless I'm actually writing the numbers down. And here I decide to use 1 point of battery for reinforcement. gets 5 internals. I'm going to have to teach Todd to use the multiple dice roll option instead of always rolling one single die. It takes up too much space in the chat area. My SSD is off the current monitor on a second monitor. I'm currently applying the damage. So I'll be bringing that onto the main monitor here as soon as the damage has been applied. Transporter lab hall impulse, and I took the phaser 3 that was just firing. It's simultaneous damage, so it still gets to fire. So I rolled 2 dice for my 2 phaser 1s, did a 5 and a 3, and then I rolled a 4 for my phaser 3. And did 13 to a down Gorn shield. And he had some general reinforcement. 8 points worth of it. So I'm going to roll my damage in 3 sets of 3. So 5 is a weapon, 1 is a hull, 3 is an engine, 1 is a hull, 6 is a choice of systems, and 2 is a hull. I think at that point he's at a hull, so that became another choice of system. I think he ends up taking a shuttle. And then another engine, and another engine. And then that roll of a 1, there's no more hull, so it goes to engine. So he's killed his rear arc phaser 1 for the weapon hit. So my plasma must go forward or HET. And since it goes forward, it's range 2 to the Gorn and outside FA arc. It should perform an HET to stay within range 2 and keep the enemy within the FA arc of the plasma. And right here I'm contemplating what's going to move when. Because the Gorn is going at speed 8. And on the third impulse, the Gorn does not move. He does on the 4th and doesn't on the 5th. Speed 6 shuttle moves. Sorry, the Gorn's going speed 12, not speed 8. It's the Romulan that's going speed 8. And something happened there to my plasma torpedo, where it's not exactly properly centered. I think I had to double click my ship in order to select it to move it, and that moved the plasma to a secondary position, and it failed to drop back down to its proper location. So I just ended up grabbing it and dragging it to where it should be. And then suddenly my ship disappeared. So at this point, we're trying to run the resync to get my ship to come back. I have the units on map window open on my second monitor, so I still see where the counter's current location is. I'm actually busy firing my shuttle here. I still haven't noticed my ship has disappeared. Plasma side slips. And here I think I just noticed my ship is missing. Trying to refresh the counters to get my ship to come back, which for some reason failed. So I'm going to add the counter in its spot. Which goes to 407. And then I turn. The Gorn goes forward. Plasma goes forward, staying on the Gorn's down number 4 shield. Speed 3 shuttles move. Speed 6 shuttles move. So here, Gorn moves the next 2 impulses, I think, and then nothing. I think there Todd was having some problems making sure that the shuttle was selected before trying to move it. Okay, on this impulse. The Gorn moves. Plasma turns, and the Gorn unfortunately sideslipped, putting his number 4 shield directly off the Romulan, and the Romulan is firing. And this is the right side phaser 3 that was not damaged and has not yet, so far during the game, been fired. Gorn got so concentrated on trying to keep the plasma off his number 4 that he completely forgot to keep the number 4 away from the Romulan ship. And again, a crappy roll for the Romulan. 3 internals. That would be an engine, a weapon, and a choice of systems. And he looks like he ended up taking APR and battery. Speed 6s, Speed 8, Speed 12s, and Speed 16s all move. And the Gorn turned to try and keep his number 4 away from the Romulan, although it doesn't help at this point because the Romulan has fired everything, so what he ended up doing was giving the number 4 to the plasma. Although if he had gone forward, it still would have been off his number 4, so it didn't really matter much. But he did take his number 4 away from the shuttles, so in the end it was a better move. And the plasma hits the down shield. Launched impulse 1. This is impulse 9. It has gone 8 movements. So it is still a 15-point warhead. So that's 15 internals on a damaged Gorn, and I don't think the Gorn has 15 internals left at this point. Well, actually, he's probably got a couple more, but the game is pretty much over. The Gorn at this point is pretty much dead. And we call the game at this point. So that was it for the Gorn versus Romulan battle. Hope you enjoyed it.